we had 4 groups, and let's hear first from Josh's group.
And can people say what the topic was?
Yeah, Josh will tell you.
The topic was, how do we unify the smaller groups and kind of turn us into, a force to be reckoned? How do we become the Voltron of prison reform organizations? And because I had heard a whole lot of different organizations that were here today, and I've been talking with MAID and a lot of other people. So how do we put it together? So we kind of came up with an idea, and a lot of it has to do with what Rigoneo was saying, that he goes to these rallies and you hear a million names get screamed out when it's time. Everybody's supporting their own person, but they're not always willing to cross lines and support an individual at a time. So Bonnie came with an awesome idea, and I think we might have even sparked a whole new campaign here, the hashtag Bring Them Home campaign, where each week we're going to reach out to smaller groups together, and each week pick a person, and all over their social media put this person's name with the hashtag Bring Them Home, maybe a story, maybe like a profile type thing. And then at the end of the month, try to organize some type of event where we go somewhere, whether it's like the courthouse somewhere, whether it's the Capitol. And at those events, we're screaming out nothing but those 4 people's names, and we're focusing in on that. And during the week, when that person is up on everyone's social media, everyone is blasting the legislators with letters and stuff like that. That's what Free People with Free People has been working on, so we can support them within that. And then at the end of the month, you have 4 people. We're all hollering those names. We're organized. We're saying, take a look at this. And I think that we can really go out to these groups and say, hey, we want to take direct action. And then while we have everybody there, we will also pick a prison condition issue, like increasing the pay, the conditions, COVID. And at that last rally, we have some type of direct action where we also say, this is what we need to do. Right now, they only make 70 cents a day, and you just increased a bag of coffee to damn near $6. Increase their pay. It hasn't been increased since the 60s. So that way we can address the lifers that need to get out, that need a second chance, and we can also address the conditions. And it fulfills a lot of the agendas from the other little groups, and we come together as a stronger force. And I'd like to say also, to remind everybody too, the C4 has the redemption voters block. So when we can build that, we can also utilize that power. As I reminded everybody, right now we have a 501c4 that can lobby, that's sitting slightly empty because we just don't have the personnel to staff it and go out and do that. So some of these things can be done under that auspice if people want to step up and do it that way as well. But it's all about everybody shouting the same name at the same time to draw attention to this.
Beautiful.
Did I miss anything? Rigoneo, you got something for that?
Yeah, I wanted to add to that, like what the brother Majid was speaking on too. To address some of to get some of those conditions changed. A boycott would be necessary to show.
Yes.
Once you hit somebody's pockets, no matter
that
how
kills them.
Small it is, even if it don't kill them, it'll let them know that if it was done on a larger scale, that it would cause an effect within that industry. If people didn't use their phone for 30 days, people could just hold on for 30 days. GCL would lose a lot of money.
Exactly.
People can hold on for 30 days without, going to the store. And, but before they do that, they might have to stack up on their food. They might have to do some things, prepare themselves for that. And once they prepare themselves for that, and you could just do it throughout certain institutions. You know what I'm saying? And once you got 4 or 5 institutions that's boycotting.
I got 10 to 15. I got 10 to 15 institutions ready to go, man. We all waiting for the go. We're waiting on the full decision, and we're waiting on the date to be set, and we're going to call it Independence Day, man. We're not going to the store. We're not going to work. We're not using the phone until we see change. If all inmates, if all 40,000 inmates come together, we're going to get some change done. Once 40,000 inmates plus all their loved ones out here, we stop sending them money. That's how we get the change done. By talking about it and writing legislation and hoping for this and the conversation.
You got to keep the government involved in it, because at the end of the day, the government got the last word on it. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what you do, boycotting, whatever you do, at the end of the day, it all comes down to that representative that's down there in them chambers that's gonna make a change for whatever's going on with the prison.
Absolutely. But once we get the boycott going on, that's where whoever it is in whatever office he may be, that's where he says, oh, okay, something's going on in the prison system that we need to change. What do we need to, how's the solution? What do we need to change it? That way, these X amount of inmates could go back to work, could go back to buying store, could go back to using the phone, and that's where they come up with the solution. But us sitting around on the sidelines talking about it like this and writing letters and making phone calls, that's not really gonna come up with no change. You know, we could. People have been waiting on change.
Hey guys,
I'm not saying we're not saying
hey guys,
anything gonna happen, but it's necessary. That's necessary.
All right, for now, we got to focus on the next group.
That's
right. We got to focus on the next group. So we got to start.
Some breakout rooms are so good that they happen twice.
Love these.
So what's the other group?
So
I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off, but I actually wanted to touch on what Dee and Majid were talking about. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with Spike Cohen, libertarian.
Yeah.
So I was also told that somebody here, it might be Jason, it might be you, Stephen, know Breonna Taylor's sister.
She's here.
She's on right now.
She's on right now.
Oh, Mrs. Teasley over here. Okay.
No, that's Dee Dee Taylor.
Oh,
Dee Dee
no,
Taylor.
I'm sorry.
Dee Dee Taylor, yeah.
So
she's on the board of directors for RC4.
Oh, perfect. All right, so check it out. I was from the understanding that you have been in contact with Spike Cohen regarding that whole situation of your sister and everything. So if it's possible, and I hate to ask, but not really hate to, but you know what I mean. Is it possible that we could have you reach out to him about what we're trying to do? Because he's very well known. There's a lot of people that know and follow him. So if he's somehow able to broadcast and put us out there, it would get so much movement. It would be a fantastic thing on a grand scale. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's hear from Dee Dee Taylor both about that and about her breakout group on reentry.
Oh, sure. Yes. Any way that I can support and help, I'm definitely willing to do so. If you guys want to give me like a couple of bullet points to say when I send information, then that would be very helpful. But in any way that I can support, of course, TARP knows that I'm in full support of anything that is needed. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to help.
Thank you.
All right, so definitely connect after this. What'd you come up with on reentry?
Okay, so what we talked about in our break.
Oh, you're muted.
Whoops, you muted yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. So I just really love to get some feedback from individuals about the reentry work that I'm doing. So for those of you who don't know, I am working alongside with TARP to get the reentry work done. And I'm going to start off with a resource center. And what my resource center is going to provide is critical technology skill, case management, mental health skills, and social and communication skills. And the reason why I chose those are because those are things that are completely unique, and those are things that are not being offered right now. And not only am I going to offer those services, but those services are going to begin, I'm hoping, a year before they're released from prison. And then we're going to have some critical case management and mental health for them during that process of them being released. And then we're going to have long-term resources in case management so that they can continue to rehabilitate while being inside of the community as well. So with that, like I said, always love to bring it to the group and get feedback on ways that I can improve or services that I can add and anything that is needed. But right now I am in the process of getting an app started so that we can make it compatible with the tablet system that is already inside of the MDOC system, and they're going to be how-to guides on that system, whether it's how to create a resume, how to use Word, how to use Excel, how to use a cell phone. So it could be that simple as well. So that's what I'm working on. And
Awesome.
Again, if anybody have any feedback, suggestions, I'm always open.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
No problem.
Kyle convened a group about emotional mental health inside and out. Kyle, can you report on your group?
Yeah, I want to open it up to anyone else in the group first to report, because y'all were the ones listening. I was talking. Okay. I talked about my own difficulty with interacting with and grieving with people who are serving such an overwhelming sentence, and what that's like, and how it is a reliably depressing part of the cycle of doing this type of work. And it's important that I care for myself. And I recognize that I need to do a better job, and I shared that with the breakout room. Others shared about how they cope and how they've balanced acceptance with persistence in advocating for people. And that was, then the conversation evolved, like some of the others, it sounds like, into organizing and how we get these small groups together and take advantage of this platform that we have here to do that, to strengthen and lift the profiles of each other and those in our networks, and then to bring that back here and put it into use for prisoners. And that's all I got. Anyone
Absolutely. I'd like to add, even though I wasn't in your group, from a prisoner perspective, to the family members, right? To y'all out there, sometimes you have to tell us no. And that's okay. Because if you're not healthy and taking care of yourself and are not in a good space, then you can't help us. You know, and every day we think about our plight and what's going on, so we always want to take action. But I'm saying, on behalf of us in here, when you need a break, you need to tell us no. Please tell us no. Recharge your battery so that you can come back to the fight and keep going. Don't let yourself burn out, because it's so important. You guys out there are so important to us in here that we can't have y'all burnt out. So make sure you're doing that self-care.
All right. And finally, Jason convened a group on what kind of roles can people help take in the TARP Village.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen, so much for taking some extra roles today. Since my computer died, I wasn't able to do the roles, but normally I am taking notes on everything that's said. I'm sending an email out to everybody who's on this call with all the information that was shared. I'm usually running the Zoom information, the Zoom controls behind the scenes. I'm managing all of the visitors that are invited and inviting people to join. So there's a lot of administration that happens in order to put on these monthly gatherings. So I want to shout out to Altea. Thank you so much for jumping in the room and helping and offering help. So I'm going to be doing a training with Altea on some of these roles so that she can help out at our next gathering, which will be in August, on August 8th. If you would like to join us for that, if you'd like to learn how to do some of the Zoom administration, maybe help send our emails, help take some notes, we could use that help. That's going to be next Monday, a week from today, at noon Eastern. So noon Eastern next Monday, if you'd like the information for that. It will be in the email that's coming out later this week. And then just a quick note to everybody, if you've not signed up for a TARP membership, make sure you fill out our membership form so that you're on the email list and you receive all of the emails. You'll also be, thank you so much, Stephen, for putting that in there. If you haven't done that, please fill that out. You'll also have a chance to check into our next gathering. So if you have information you'd like to share with the whole group, you can do that as a member, and it is automatically added to the email. So that's part of the platform that we're working with TARP on here. All right, thanks a lot.
And I'd also like to add to Jason's stuff, when these new groups come, we want to hear from you, and we want to create room on the platform for you. So if you get with Jason and say, hey, you know, I'm from this or that group, I'd like to tell everybody in the village about something, he'll make sure that he makes room for you.
Exactly. And Are there any other announcements that want to be made before we say goodbye to each other?
I got something for everybody. And I'm glad it's kind of the end, because this is kind of rough, and I kind of gave this speech to our board of directors prior to this. But at the end of July, there's going to be a ruling on 4 different cases, Pool, Stovall, and 2 others. One of them is the raising the age from 17 to, we pushed, when TARP did a brief, Laurel Kelly Young did an amazing brief and asked for all the way up to 25. But it's possible that they don't go all the way up to 25. I was 18. That's why I've said in some of these groups, like, I don't need people screaming my name. I want to help other people get out, because I know my time is coming very soon. But a lot of people's hopes are going to be dashed if, say, they go to 21. And we really need to all, especially in these different groups, we all need to be cognizant and aware that some people are going to be having a great day right next to a guy that might have been 23 if the Michigan Supreme Court says that 21 is the line that they draw. So I just want y'all to be ready to be supportive. And I know TARP, I talked with our people, we are really going to try to do stuff like tribunals and whatnot to really advocate for those guys that if they happen to miss the bus on this. Now, we're all praying for 21, but if that doesn't, I mean, we're all praying for 25, but if it happens to go to 21, there's a lot of people that are going to be having, you know, it's rough. It's rough in here when you get your hopes up and they come back down, or you don't get the
Just
action
to
of the relief
build
that
on,
you want.
excuse me, I'm sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt you, but like just to build on what you're talking about how we're saying, like, okay, you're 18, they might raise the age to 21, we're hoping 25.
Yeah.
And that's where restored justice comes into, you know what I mean? I'm working with prisoners that, you know, Akrawi, John Akrawi, you can look him up, 179-935. He called me while me and you guys were on the phone, and that's why I left the meeting and joined the meeting on my other phone.
Yeah.
And he said it'd be best for him not to join the meeting, so he hung up on the phone. But he said, this is coming from an inmate's words that's been locked up since 1984. Now, fuck it.
Yeah.
You've been locked down since how long? What year did you get locked up in?
95.
95. So
yeah.
he's been locked up 11 years longer than you. He sees.
I know John.
So you know John. Okay, so you know John the Crowd.
Absolutely.
So he's been down since 80. Yeah. So his it's his whole. I'm here speaking on behalf of him, and what his whole goal is he's saying, yes, we believe in the Pool case. We're waiting for the decision. We hope the decision comes out in our favor, where they say up to 25, and we hope they say. But what Akrawi wants is he wants something to fall back on, because we know legislation and the judicial system and the courts always do people dirty. They convicted wrong people how many times? How many times did they have wrongfully convicted people spend 20, 30, 40 years incarcerated for something that they didn't do? And now that they're finally exonerating them right now that we're in 2020, 2015, now we're in 2000, you know what I mean? So Akrawi's main point is to have something to fall back on. You know, he's not saying that we go on the boycott right now, but he wants to see what the Pool hearing is. And once that Pool decision comes out, that's when he plans on putting the boycott out. Like where he says, hey, listen, like Rick and Eel was saying earlier, hey, once we hurt their pockets, once we show them that, hey, you got 40,000 inmates, which has 80,000 loved ones outside that are working 9-to-5 jobs, you know what I mean? We're all making decent money, and we send our loved ones money every month. Once we show them, hey, we're not happy with the way you're treating our loved ones. Yes, our loved one committed this crime or that crime, and they got sentenced to 5 years, 10 years, 20 years life. But that does not mean that you got to sentence them to torture. Sentence them to jail and give them good jail time. Don't sentence them to torture. Don't make them go in there and suffer. Make them sweat and labor for 72 cents a day, which can't even buy their meal at the end of the day. Because if you want to do a cook up, like Puckett, you know what I mean? You've been down since 84.
Yeah.
If you want to do a cook up, a bag of rice costs what, $135 when I left. What's a bag of rice cost now?
But brother,
it's like 2.5.
Brother Martin,
you know what I mean?
With the stuff you're talking about, bro, you gotta still look at the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? The Constitution is set up for slavery. So it's in the Constitution that when you go to prison, you subject to slavery.
That's in the 15th Amendment. That's the 15th Amendment. You're right about that. They can kill us. They, not us, but they can kill the inmates if we go to war. Slavery.
So let me give you this as kind of the closing is Alex Bailey is coming with a lot of money for the second look stuff. Bonnie can tell you about it. She talks to her. Different people talk to her. And this second look is second look for everybody. It doesn't matter how much time you got, what crime you got. It's second look for everybody. That bill is going to be introduced at the end of probably the end of September. So
that's something new
there's already $50,000. There's already $50,000 into a Republican lobbyist who's working right now behind the scenes for that bill to get bipartisan support. So, and this bill started out being drafted by TARP and MySemi. So this is just a little longer run. So there is hope behind it, but we have to all come together and really form that fist that's unified to be able to push these things and to show them it's necessary, and also to combat the narrative of tough on crime, because we're back in the 90s again, where Fox News and everybody else is telling you that everybody that's brown is a killer and all these cities are crazy. Now, we have to combat that narrative by, like Bonnie said, showcasing people, putting these women out there, putting the men out there, showing who they are on our village, when their voices come here, on our podcasts, and unifying it all together so we're all supporting each other's platforms so that we can grow this movement. And I think that is how we're going to do it. And I think we're going to do it through this village format.
Absolutely. And our time is up, but wow. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you everybody for coming, hanging in, participating in the breakout sessions, which were excellent. And if anybody wants to lounge around a little bit afterwards, they're welcome, but the meeting is officially over. Thank you.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
See
guys
you next
very
month.
Much. See you guys next month.